and workers' compensation. They even offer an affordable and customizable 401k program and a 24/7 online human resources support center for all my HR needs.
Think of all the time we'll save. I'll be busy growing my business and letting People Lease take care of the rest.
Sounds like a good business plan with People Lease.
Let People Lease mind your business so you can mind your own business. Call now, 601-987-3025. That's 601-987-3025. Or visit freepayrollquotes.com for your free quote.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
If it feels like the world's gone a little crazy lately, you're not wrong. They say parents should have a voice. But what happens when no one's listening? Forget the noise, the narratives, and the nonsense. It's time to have real conversations, stand up, speak out, and shine a light on what's really happening inside our schools, our systems, and our government, and what it really means for your family. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show, where we believe in truth over talking points, facts over feelings, and the courage to say what others won't. Because when it comes to our kids, silence is not an option.
Only in America, dreaming in red, white, and blue.
Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome into the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. This is the Lindsay Beckham Show. I'm, of course, Lindsay Beckham. This is where we believe in protecting children, empowering parents, and standing for truth always, every single time. That is what we are going to do right here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I was super excited to wake up Saturday and see the sunshine. I know Reshma was super excited about that as well. If you listened to the show or watched the show last week, of course, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, but you got to see an interview I did with my good friend Reshma, who has a nonprofit, an orphanage, a place where she brings in women and children, takes them out of human trafficking and sex slavery, and brings them into a place where they can become educated and get to know the love of Jesus. And she had a big 5K fundraising event for Reshma's home Saturday morning, and it looked like they had I did not get to go, unfortunately. I had a funeral Saturday, but it looks like they had a great turnout and a great event. And so I'm so excited that the sun came out, the clouds disappeared, and God showed out with some beautiful weather for her event Saturday morning. They also held, in conjunction with her fundraiser, I think, second annual Gluckstadt Health Fair. So congratulations to everyone who put on an amazing event with a great turnout, a great crowd. And I'm sure that Reshma is incredibly grateful for everyone that gave of their time, their efforts, their energy to make sure that this event was successful. We'll have to have her back soon so she can share how much they were able to bring in and more about the work that is going on in Bangladesh inside of her orphanage, Reshma's home. I hope everyone did have a fabulous weekend. Of course, I said earlier, I had a funeral Saturday that I attended, and I talked a good bit last week about Miss Ruby Ainsworth and the life that she lived, the legacy that she left. Andy Gibson, who is our current agriculture commissioner, also running for governor in 2027. He was on the show last week as well. He preached the service for Miss Ruby's funeral. I did not know, but he actually was the preacher at her church for several years. And just what an incredible, incredible woman, an amazing life that she lived. There were 5 rows of Republican women there showing out in their red, and I know that that just had Miss Ruby beaming down from heaven. They told a story during her funeral about how her grandchildren, she would force them to send her proof that they voted on every election day, and I can't imagine anything less from our dear Miss Ruby than for her to reach out to her grandchildren and tell them, "Hey, I need you to send me proof. I need to know for sure that you voted." That's one thing that the family had asked. If you are not registered to vote, it would mean so much to them if you go and get registered to vote and get out and exercise that right in Miss Ruby's honor. Her current preacher at her church told a few stories about Miss Ruby. He said that when he showed up and he was filling in when they had lost a pastor at some point, and he preached his first service at her church, and as he was shaking hands in the back as people are walking out, like Baptists like to do, he said that Miss Ruby stopped and she put she put her hand on his chest, and he said, I was feeling so good about, I knew I'd done just a really great job. It was a home run service and sermon. And she put her hand on his chest and she said, "Not bad." And she would tell him when he would pray about decisions about whether he or not he was going to take that position as the pastor of her church, she would tell him, "What are you waiting on? You need to pray harder and you need to pray faster." And that was Miss Ruby. She told it like it was, and she had no apologies for the words that she said because she spoke truth. She was direct. And that might rub some people the wrong way, but I believe that's why Miss Ruby and I connected in a way. We were such kindred spirits and we loved each other so much. Because I think she saw a little bit of that in me. And I want to live my life that way. I want to be remembered the way that Miss Ruby was remembered Saturday. It might be direct. It might rub you the wrong way. But I make no apologies whatsoever. None, zero, nada, zip, for standing in truth. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. And if that means you don't want to listen to my show, you don't have to listen to my show. If that means you don't want to be my friend, you don't have to be my friend. If that means you don't want to be a part of my life, then by all means, see the door on your way out. But I'm going to speak truth, and I'm going to say what I mean. And I promise you, I mean what I say. Regardless of how direct it might be, I do speak truth. I do stand in truth. And that's one thing that I value. That's one reason why I enjoy being behind a microphone. I ran into a friend I had not seen in a while yesterday. A teacher friend, by the way. Hey, y'all know what? I do have teacher friends. I'm sure that's hard for some of you to believe, but I ran into a teacher friend yesterday and she said this to me. She said, Lindsay, no matter what, one thing I love about you is that you are not afraid of anyone. And I'm not. I'm not afraid of who might not like me. I'm not afraid of who might not want to be my friend. I'm not afraid of who might talk ugly or say ugly things about me because they don't like that I tell the truth. Because they don't like that I am direct or that I stand in truth in what I say. That's okay with me. Look, I came to peace with that a long, long, long time ago when I started to speak out about vaccines at a time prior to COVID when that was crazy talk. We didn't talk like that. You should be burned at the stake if you spoke ill of vaccines or the vaccine schedule or the CDC or the WHO or the NIH. But I knew what I knew that I knew to be true. And so I spoke about it. Cost me friendships. And I had to come to terms with the fact that if I was going to be loud, if I was going to be vocal, if I was going to stand up for what I believe in, it might cost me some things. I had to make peace with that, which I did. You know, I said last week, your words can't hurt me. They just cannot. I know who holds my tomorrow. No weapons formed against me shall prosper. And I consider it pure joy when I face trials of many kinds because the testing of our faith produces perseverance. So I'm going to stand strong in those words. And I pray to live a life like that of Miss Ruby. Strong in my faith. Determined to speak truth. And always protecting children, empowering parents, and telling the truth every single time, no matter what. That is the way in which I pray I am able to live my life in the legacy that I leave behind me when I leave this earth. It is May. We always hear that April showers bring May flowers. And boy, last week was such a wet, yucky, dreary, cloudy week. I was hearing at the top of the hour news break as I was getting ready for the show here that it looks like we have more storms in store this week. Hopefully, they will pass much more quickly than last week's full week of storms did. Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo. Hope everybody has got plans to get out and get some good Mexican food. Wednesday, right here, live in the studios with me, will be our Secretary of State, Michael Watson. Also has announced his candidacy for Lieutenant Governor. So excited about that. Excited to be able to talk to him about what his vision for the Senate would be should he become Mississippi's next lieutenant governor. You know, I say all the time, and I think it rings really true, that a lot of times it seems in Mississippi as though our lieutenant governor holds more power than our actual governor. Of course, he presides over the Senate. And, you know, here lately, the Senate has been where things go to die, unfortunately. And something we're going to talk about later in the show, some recent Supreme Court rulings that I absolutely disagree with. One thing that we were able to get done, one of the few things we were able to get done in this past legislative session was stopping the abortion pills being sent out by mail. We passed that in Mississippi. I believe that it's supposed to go into law July 1st, if it has not already. It's something the Supreme Court ruled on. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my friend January Littlejohn. Her case was ruled on by the Supreme Court, and it was not the outcome that we were hoping for. We're going to dive into that. Her lawsuit dealt with a school in Florida socially transitioning her daughter without her knowledge. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court, actually, they did not rule, but they did not take the case up. So we are going to talk about that a little bit. This week, I will be over in Choctaw County. Excited to go see my friends and get to fellowship with them for a little bit. That will be Thursday evening, the 7th, at the Council House Restaurant over at the Choctaw County GOP. Excited about that. We have another school choice debate the 21st of this month over on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where I will be again joined by Mississippi's Ready, Leah Ferretti, Gerard Gibbert, and Magnolia Tribune's Russ Latino. Excited about being able to share with the coast area why we believe Mississippi needs education freedom and more choice for parents. Boy, do I have a laundry list of reasons why we need that, more so now than ever. We got to take a break, but y'all stay with me. There's lots more to get into today here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. WYAB 103.9, 50,000 watts of power radio and lots of opinions. Stay with us. We will be right back. Stay with us. We will be right back.
103.9 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Rheem and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
After 30 years, Small Town Music no longer has a dedicated physical location in Canton, but we continue to support WYAB and hope you will by shopping our merchandise and original music online. And of course, you can still call 601-859-8596. Small Town Music, come on and get it. 859-8596. Call before you're home. We will have a booth on Canton Square at the Emporium, and you can still browse our guitars and support our original music at www.smalltownmusic.com.
Hi, this is Rita Jensen with Remax Connection. I've been selling real estate now for well over 30 years, and I typically use Chadwick Home Inspectors. And Chad has done many, many home inspections for me.
They are pretty much from roof to foundation. Most people are surprised at just how thorough these home inspections can be. Been working with Rita almost a decade now. Very rarely does she let a deal fall apart. She can usually find a way to negotiate where both parties are satisfied.
RitaJensen.net.
Huddle up, wing lovers, and double your count for less on Wing Tuesdays at Buffalo Wild Wings. When you buy one order of traditional wings, get one for 50% off. No time to dine? Order for delivery and wing it up with a crew at home. Or pick up takeout when you're on the go. Limit one per order, not valid with any other offers. Additional terms and conditions apply. Huddle up for Wing Tuesday at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Want insider tips on foundation repair, maintenance, and how to protect your biggest investment? Todd Sandridge, owner of Superior Foundation Services, will be dropping in this month for quick interviews with your favorite local hosts. Whether you're dealing with cracks, settling, or just want peace of mind, this is a conversation you don't want to miss. Superior Foundation Services, helping you stay on solid ground. Find them online at superior.ms. That's superior.ms.
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. I'm, of course, Lindsay Beckham. We are live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Of course, you can always find us on your FM radio dial at 103.9. And you can also stream the audio version of any of our WYAB shows here at WYAB.com. I love these commenters. You know, I've told y'all that ever since YouTube allowed you to stream both in portrait and landscape mode, that it has brought in this whole new world of YouTubers, these different kinds of people, I might add. We always have haters in the comments, but their comments actually kind of make me laugh. They're quite comical. Larry W7Z2X says, "How do Trump's boots taste?" Well, Larry, you must not listen or watch the show very often, because I'm real quick to call Trump out when I don't agree with him. Of course, then he said, Mississippi is where education goes to die. Oh, really? Okay, so have you not seen all the gains Mississippi has actually made in education? In fact, more liberal states are wanting to copy our model, which is pretty much just common sense. He then asked me, would I be living in a trailer if not for my husband's money, or do I already live in a trailer? Well, my husband's dead, and his mother-in-law took the life insurance money, so no, it has nothing to do with my husband's money. So, but you got a great education in Mississippi, so you understand all that. I did get a great education in Mississippi. Thank you. Anyway, I think the comments are quite comical when one of these liberal nut jobs gets on here. One of these Democrat heads, as Kim Wade would say. I got to produce Kim Wade's show last week and spend the week with him in the afternoons, and so that's always a good time. Always has me in a good mood when I have gotten to be with the all-time great Mr. Kim Wade. You can call in to the show today, of course, 601-879-0002 if you would like to call in with your comments, questions, concerns. Tell me how much you hate me if you are a liberal nut job or a Democrat head. 601-879-4648 is our text line if you would like to text in any comments that you might have. I touched on before the break, that one thing that we were able to do here in the state of Mississippi during our last legislative session was deny access for telehealth visits and companies, pharmacies, to mail abortion pills to the state of Mississippi. Unfortunately, it seems as though this morning the Supreme Court restored access to the abortion pill through telehealth, mail, and pharmacies. From AP News, the Supreme Court on Monday restored broad access to the abortion pill, mifepristone, I'm probably saying that wrong, blocking a ruling that had threatened to upend one of the main ways abortions are provided across the nation. The order, signed by Justice Samuel Alito, temporarily allows women seeking abortions to obtain the pills at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. Those rules have been in effect for several years until a federal appeals court imposed new restrictions last week. The majority of abortions in the U.S. are obtained through medications, usually a combination of mifepristone and a second drug, misoprostol. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong as well. The availability of those drugs has blunted the impact of abortion bans that most Republican-led states have sought to enforce since a 2022 Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade. Louisiana sued to restrict access, asserting that its availability undermined the ban there. Some Democrat-led states have laws that seek to give legal protection to those who prescribe the drugs via telehealth to patients in states with bans. Alito's order will remain in effect for another week while both sides respond and the court more fully considers the issue. Manufacturers of the drugs filed emergency appeals asking the Supreme Court to step in. Kristen Hawkins, president of the anti-abortion group Students for Life, decried Monday's decision. Pill pushers receive every benefit of the doubt, including today, as Justice Alito allows pill traffickers and Big Pharma to operate temporarily while arguments are sent to the court, she said in a statement. After Friday's ruling from the appeals court, some groups that prescribe abortion pills by telehealth have planned to switch to misoprostol-only regimens. Dr. Angela Foster, founder of the Massachusetts Abortion Access Project, said her organization was preparing to send the drugs only on Monday afternoon, but was able to switch back. Regardless of what happens with this regulatory issue, we and other groups will continue to provide high-quality abortion care to patients in all 50 states, she said. Interesting. Quality care when you are not even having to see a provider, a physician, in order to access these drugs. What happens if something goes terribly wrong? What happens when women get these drugs through the mail, take these drugs, and then become physically sick, bleeding out, not knowing what to do? They can't call the provider. I mean, what then? You just go to, I guess, your local ER and ask for help? Because you're not truly under the care of a provider or a physician if this is something that you could just walk into a pharmacy and purchase. I don't think this is safe. I think that every state should follow Mississippi's example here. I knew that was going to happen. For those online, we have gone to a weather test on the actual radio. So I'm going to take this second break early, and we will be back shortly. Y'all stay tuned.
Only in America. 1039 WYAB.
Americans for Prosperity is Mississippi's and the country's leading grassroots organization dedicated to promoting economic freedom and personal liberty. Americans for Prosperity advocates for limited government, free market policies, and empowering individuals. When given freedom and opportunity, Americans are capable of extraordinary things. If you are ready to make a difference in our community and want to get involved, then visit americansforprosperity.org. Be a part of positive change at americansforprosperity.org. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Rheem partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Ream and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. The United Arab Emirates now says it's intercepting missiles and drones from Iran, which would mark a significant escalation in hostilities from the Iranians amid an already strained ceasefire. ABC's Karen Travers says in-person peace negotiations between the U.S. and Iran remain off the table for right now.
There are no talks scheduled, at least in person. The president's been very clear, and he doesn't want to see 18-hour flights from his top representatives, his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, until they're closer to an actual deal. But he says there are talks taking place between the U.S. and Iran.
The Supreme Court is issuing a temporary stay on the case involving mifepristone, meaning the abortion drug will be available by mail while the court weighs its next move. And Cole Allen, the man accused of planning a mass shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, is in court today. Attorneys for Allen have requested he be removed from suicide watch. This is ABC News.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Hot weather requires us to run the AC nonstop. Pure Air Consultants can inspect your unit today to ensure your AC is operating at peak performance. Pure Air Consultants is your go-to Ream partner that can get the job done and have you resting in comfort in no time. Locally owned and operated, they have proudly served our community for over 22 years. Contact Pure Air Consultants today at mypureairconsultants.com. Ream and Pure Air Consultants to the rescue.
Hey guys, this is Casey Ellis with Ellis Autoplex located on Highway 471 in Brandon. Ellis Autoplex, known as Little Truck City, is your old school mom and pop style dealership that's family owned and operated. We specialize in 4-wheel drive trucks, but don't worry, we have cars and SUVs too. Looking to sell your vehicle? Bring it by Ellis Autoplex where we pay fair market value and we cut you a check on the spot. Need your vehicle service or repair? We can handle that too. Shop us online or set your appointment at ellisautoplex.com. That's ellisautoplex.com.
When you feel like your business is drowning in paperwork and compliance issues, it's time to call PeopleLease. Let PeopleLease take care of the busy work so that you can save valuable time and focus on what really matters, growing your business. PeopleLease is based in Ridgeland, so you're always dealing with local professionals who will actually understand your business and its needs. Join thousands of satisfied clients who trust PeopleLease to simplify their employee administration. Visit PeopleLease.com. That's PeopleLease.com to learn more.
Delta Farm Services, LLC. Delta Farm Services, LLC. From dirt to done, they make it easy. Find them on Facebook, it's all you need. Big job, small job, call today. They'll shape your land a better way. Delta Farm Services, LLC. The name you trust for what you need. Delta Farm Services, LLC. Delta Farm Services, LLC.
Seeing well plays a big role in helping you read well. That's why it's not a minute too soon for students of all ages to schedule an eye exam with Dr. Bobby C. Pankey and Associates in Clinton and Richland. They can also help you with a great selection of frames, lenses, and contacts, all at affordable prices. See well, read well, do well. For all your back-to-school eye care needs, visit Optical 2000 Clinton and Richland. Optical-2000.com.
Stay in touch. Follow Optical 2000 on Facebook.
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
Welcome back into the Lindsay Beckham Show. I am, of course, Lindsay Beckham. We are live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studio, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can call in to the show today to voice your comments, questions, or concerns, 601-879-0002. We also have a text line here on the Lindsay Beckham Show. That number is 601-879-4648. We also have room for Advertiser. So if you are looking to get the word out about your business, I'm telling you, WYAB has some of the most loyal listeners who will patronize your business, and definitely word of mouth will have people tearing down your door. So you can reach out to me directly. That's Lindsay at WYAB if you would like more information. That's Lindsay with an E, Lindsey. You got to get the name right so I get the email. Or info@wyab.com. I've been saying I desperately need a life insurance agent to come and link with me and sponsor the Lindsay Beckham Show. I feel sure that we could drum up a ton of business for a life insurance agent out there. So y'all let me know. Let me know if you want more information or if you would like to partner with us here at WYAB. We would love to have you. Before the break, before we were so rudely interrupted by the weather test, I told Matt, I think he was a little doubtful at first. I said, Matt, I'm telling you, this weather testing has been coming in every single Monday. For a minute there, it was coming in on the show on Tuesdays when Morgan was in the studio with me. But here for at least the last, I'm going to say 6 weeks, it has been on the dot, 12:33, right before my second break on Mondays. Monday afternoons at 12:33, that weather test is going to come through. So sorry that we had to abruptly cut that segment short. We were talking about the Supreme Court ruling that they would allow this abortion pill to be purchased in pharmacies through telehealth visits by mail, at least for the next week while they hear arguments from both sides come in and look more deeply into this case and into the specifics regarding mifepristone. I heard him say it. That's how you say it. If I said it wrong in the second segment, mifepristone, the pills that allow you to chemically abort your baby. And I'm not sure on the exact timeline of when you are allowed to use the pills. I know for a while there, it was different by state, and I'm sure that it still is. I have not kept up with every state and the abortion laws since Roe was overturned and Mississippi's only abortion clinic was shut down. But I know in some states you can have abortion, right up until the very end of your pregnancy. Other states there is a heartbeat law where once there's a heartbeat, you are not able to legally obtain an abortion. And I'm sure it's different with the pills as well. There's a timeline, I guess, as to how far along you are. I think that's very reckless to allow a woman to walk into a pharmacy and purchase pills that will end her pregnancy when she's not under the care of a provider or a physician. I think that could lead into some disastrous situations. I'm hopeful that our conservative Supreme Court will look into all the details concerning this issue and will make the right decision as far as these pills being allowed to be used for abortions in the future. Obviously, I am very much pro-life. I don't believe God makes mistakes. We all are made in the image of God. He knit us together in our mother's womb. That's biblical. And I think that there is a purpose. We all have a purpose. It saddens me when we see people rejoicing over the murder of innocent babies. That's evil. I cannot think of another word for that other than just evil. Of course, we know that Satan is alive and well today. He is wreaking havoc in this world, in the lives of children, So my friend January Littlejohn from Florida, she is one of the strongest, most resilient women I know. I look up to her with everything that is in me. She has not been on the show. I did connect her with Jameson Haygood before he left, and they did a show at some point. And then she did come on my podcast when I was doing the Raising Liberty podcast. I did have a full podcast episode with January. We'll have to find it and repost it. But January has been fighting this battle since I met her 5 years ago. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. We know the enemy is a liar. And one way that the enemy has snuck into some of our stories is by attacking our children, making our children believe that they were born in the wrong body, that they are not who they were meant to be, that they are not who God says they are. Unfortunately, January experienced this firsthand. So in the case, Littlejohn versus Leon County School Board, it's a federal lawsuit where parents January and Jeffrey Littlejohn sued a Florida school district for creating a student support plan, air quotes in the studio here, to socially transition their 13-year-old daughter without parental consent or knowledge. The case centered on 14th Amendment parental rights to direct a child's upbringing. I talk to you guys all the time about the Supreme Court case that's over 100 years old now, Pierce versus the Society of Sisters, where the Supreme Court ruled that the child is not a mere creature of the state, and that it is the fundamental right of the parent to direct the upbringing of their child as they see fit. Now, I don't know why the Supreme Court did not find that that was enough to take up this case and rule on it. It seems like that should have been plenty. So this incident occurred in 2020. January and I have spoken about it at length. This is one way that the enemy used COVID and the COVID shutdowns in a way to attack our children. In 2020, at the Deer Lake Middle School in Leon County, Florida, this school district created a plan to use a new name and new pronouns for the student at school, but not with the parents. The Littlejohn sued, alleging violations of parental due process and family privacy. In 2022, U.S. District Judge Mark E. Walker dismissed the suit, stating the actions did not shock the conscience. Whatever on earth that is supposed to mean. It was appealed. A 2-1 panel of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the dismissal back in March of 2025. And then just last week, April 2026, the Supreme Court declined to hear the appeal, which allowed the lower court's ruling to remain in place. Now, that does not mean the enemy won here, because they messed with the wrong child when they messed with January Littlejohn's child, because she is a force to be reckoned with. She has become a major influence around this country, not only in Florida, but across the entire United States of America. This has become a major issue in debates regarding parental rights and school gender identity politics. She has shown up at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., at the Supreme Court steps, and she has told her story on numerous podcasts. There's been documentaries made. She has changed this country for the better, all because somebody messed with her baby. This is one thing Leah Ferretti and I say a lot. While we hate the fact that my child was vaccine injured, while we hate the fact that her children had dyslexic or were born dyslexic, those issues stirred a fire in us to fight for our children, not only our children, but for all children. Sometimes you mess with the wrong mama. January made a statement last week on her Facebook account that said this: "We received the news today that the Supreme Court denied our petition in Littlejohn versus Leon County. While we are disappointed the court declined to hear our case, we trust in God's timing and remain steadfast in our convictions." It is important to be clear about what this decision means. It is not a ruling on the merits. It does not affirm or reject the legal arguments presented. It simply means the court will not, at this time, review the decision of the lower court. The facts of our case have never been in question. Even the attorneys for the Leon County School District agreed that everything happened exactly as I stated it did. Our case was not in vain. Our case and others like it helped shine a national light on serious parental rights violations, and we are grateful that Florida took swift legislative steps to restore parental rights in schools. Unfortunately, families across the country are still being harmed by policies that allow the secret social transition of children in schools. With thousands of school districts affected, this remains a national issue. Our work is far from over. We will continue using our experience to advocate for families and for policies that respect the fundamental role of parents as the primary decision makers in their children's lives. I will continue to help families whose children fall prey to this insidious lie. Please pray our family can now move forward and fully heal from this experience. Thank you for your support, and God bless you all. Spoken with as much class as I have seen January possess from the very beginning of this godforsaken incident that unfortunately affected one of her children. But none of that was a surprise for God. He knew. He knew that January's family would be attacked in this way. And they have stood strong and followed him. And that beautiful daughter of hers is excelling in life. I love to see January post pictures of her daughter and the way that she has grown and what a beautiful young woman that she is, and the story that she has is going to be so powerful. The enemy never wins, people. Evil never wins. We got to take our last break. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back here to wrap things up on this Monday afternoon here on The Lindsay Beckham Show. Don't go anywhere. Just a few seconds left of the Lindsay Beckham Show today. Thank you all for spending this time with me on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Remember, teach your children to love God and to love America. And if they love God, they will love America. Those were the words of Miss Ruby Ainsworth, and she wanted everyone to know that. Again, we here at the Lindsay Beckham Show believe in protecting children, empowering parents, and standing for truth every single time, no matter what. Always. That's all the time we've got for today. I will be back right here tomorrow, same time, same place. See y'all then. Bye.